before you speak, I need to go to present my speech at the PTMG, and I would like Dr. Kalyubi to chair the meeting in my absence.
Pleasure.
Our next speaker is Mr. Thomas Pompellis, who will speak about the registration of pharmaceutical trademarks.
No, correction.
There's a slight mistake in the program that didn't make it into the final program. I'll be speaking about the importance of intellectual property protection to the pharmaceutical industry.
Mr. Pompellis is the Assistant Vice President International in charge of the trade policy, health policy, and with special responsibilities in the regions of the Middle East and North Africa. Mr. Pompellis is the Assistant Vice President International in charge of the trade policy, international health policy, with special responsibilities in the specific region of the Middle East and North Africa. He represents the pharmaceutical research and manufacturers of America, which represents more than 100 research-based pharmaceutical companies, including more than 40 of the country's leading biotechnology companies. Pharma members discover, develop, and produce most of the prescription drugs used in the United States and abroad. He holds a degree from the University of Michigan, as well as a degree from the University of Johns Hopkins in Washington. المتكلم القادم هو السيد توماس بومبلس، والذي يشغل منصب مساعد نائب رئيس شركة الصناعات والبحوث الصيدلانية الأمريكية، وهي شركة تمثل حوالي 100 من شركات أبحاث الصيدلانية الأمريكية، بما فيها أكبر 40 شركة تقنية حيوية تعمل جميعها على اكتشاف وتطوير وإنتاج أكثر من الأغذية الطبية في أمريكا والخارج. يشغل السيد بومبلس في هذه الشركة منصب مساعد نائب الرئيس لشؤون العلاقات الدولية، ويشرف في هذه الصفة على السياسات التجارية وسياسات الصحة، وله مسؤولية خاصة فيما يتعلق بمنطقة الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا. عمل السيد بومبلس في هذه الشركة لمدة 5 سنوات، وقبل ذلك كان يعمل في الدائرة التجارية في حكومة الولايات المتحدة. يحمل السيد بومبلس شهادات من جامعة ولاية ميشيغان وجامعة جونز هوبكنز.
Thank you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I will use slides this morning for my presentation, but before I start, let me just thank you for the introduction and thank you for the invitation to be here. And I would like to say that I'm glad that everyone is focused on this issue here in the region, and I understand that it's a somewhat sensitive subject for discussion, particularly in the field of pharmaceuticals. But I would like to say that I think that the negative side of this issue is getting far too much attention. And if I provide any value to your meeting here and to my visit here to Jordan for the next few days, I hope that I can accentuate the positive and give you some better ideas of the tremendous opportunities that are offered to your individual companies, to your industries, to your country, and to your region through the improvement of intellectual property protection in all fields of technology, and certainly in pharmaceuticals. So I disagree with those who say that there are tremendous costs to be borne if the intellectual property regime changes, I think that there are basically only benefits to you and future growth. And I think that gains that are perceived to be made from lack of protection of all forms of intellectual property, whether it's copyrights, whether it's patents, whether it's trademarks, are in fact a form of fool's gold and deter economic development. And I hope that that will come clear in my remarks, and I certainly encourage you to think of questions and that we can engage in a lively and hopefully informative discussion after my presentation. And I will certainly not hesitate to give some concrete examples of other countries, both here in the region and in other parts of the world, where the benefits of intellectual property protection without discrimination have been clear and even dramatic, and far outweigh any so-called costs or losses. With that as an introduction, I will ask for some help in turning on the slide projector, and if we can turn the lights down a little bit. I should say we've had our own incremental advancement. I think so. At Pharma, you'll notice the format of the slides is a little bit different. That's because we had an incremental improvement in our own intellectual property within the last month in my office, and we got a new computer software system, so the slides are a little bit different. But as noted in the introduction, I'm here representing the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America. That is the scientific and professional association that represents the research-based pharmaceutical industry. And let me say in the beginning that I think basically there are two kinds of pharmaceutical industries in the world. The first is represented by pharma, and those are the companies that research, invent, and develop and bring to market new medicines. The second type of industry is what we call the generic industry. Pharmaceuticals in most countries of the world are protected by patents for a limited period of time. Patents provide freedom from copying for a limited amount of time so that the inventor can have some period to recoup his investment. Once the product goes off patent, it's free for anyone to make it. I think one of our companies in a television commercial last year said it best when they said, "We don't make medicines, we invent them." As such, the defining characteristic of the research-based pharmaceutical industry is, of course, research. This year, pharma companies alone will spend $15 billion in this year alone on research and development of new medicine. That investment has been doubling approximately every 5 years. And as a point of comparison, I'm sure you're all familiar with the tunnel under the English Channel. That is the largest engineering project ever undertaken in history. It took over 10 years to build, and it took $11 billion. So our companies will spend $15 billion, $4 billion more than what it costs to build a tunnel under the English Channel, to come up with something that is about this big.